Thanks again for joining us. Today's webinar is called 4 Tech Trends in 2022 for your company to be competitive and resilient in the future, and how can you get started today with DocuWare? So my name is Nicole Schmeida. I'm the marketing specialist here at DocuWare, and I'll be moderating the session and the poll questions and Q&A at the end. The main presenter today will be Mike Reno, Regional Sales Director. So he'll go through the core of the presentation. We just have some fun facts to share with you. Mike actually told me recently he caught his first trophy redfish recently. So for all you fishers out there, that's a cool accomplishment. And then just a fun fact about me, if you join me every month, just a new fact about me is in my spare time, I enjoy singing, trying my hand at songwriting. So that's something I like to do in my spare time. Before we begin, the webinar is being recorded, so later today you'll get an email with the recording, the slides, and handouts, which you can actually download now in the handout section of the GoToWebinar panel. Start submitting any questions you have in the question box as we go along, and at the end of the webinar, please complete the survey so we can get your feedback. So the structure for today, you can see the first third, Mike will cover, what are the 4 foundational tech trends we're seeing for 2022, and then explain, how can you lean into them? How can DocuWare Cloud get you started, get you up and running? Because time is of the essence. Technology is rapidly changing, as we saw in the past year and a half. So how can you not only use them, how can you get using them securely and quickly? Then he'll go into a live demo of DocuWare Cloud, so you can get a first look, an introductory showcase of the DocuWare solution. And at the end, we'll open it up for some Q&A. We have a poll question for you. So does this look familiar? Are you still, relying on paper processes? You still have like a ton of sticky notes that you're using to remind you and yourself of all the different deadlines and tasks you need to complete? So I have a question here I'm going to launch. So if you can go on it should appear on your screen now. So how far along is your company in digitizing your documents and processes? So, not at all. You're still using paper and manual process. Maybe use a mixture of paper and digital, or you run everything already on some sort of central solution. Let us know, or if you have another response to that, feel free to type that in the question box. So just wait a few more seconds to get majority voted here, and then I will share the results. Looks like we have some more answers coming in. All right, let me get that. All right, so I'm going to close the poll now and share results here. You can see a majority of people, they use a mix, of people on the line currently using a mix of paper, digital, but no central solution, nothing that is powering your organization, across all your different departments. So, and then some of you already have a central solution, so that's good. We hope that you get from this session, what DocuWare brings to the table for you in that regard. So, all right, so let's get back to the session here. So before I pass it off to Mike, I just have a quote here to keep in mind as we go along. In today's world, change is the only constant, but that rate of change is itself increasing as well. So, you either need to disrupt yourself, innovate, or someone else will. So with that now, I'm going to pass it off to Mike. Right, Mike? There you go.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Show my screen. And as Nicole said, the only thing constant is change, and change is what we want to be able to help you with and with your business. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Reno. I'm a regional sales director here at DocuWare, and we're going to go ahead and jump in and talk about DocuWare document management and how it's going to help your business grow, and especially moving into 2022 and thinking of 2023 and beyond. As we go through this webinar, I just want you to keep in mind a few of these key items that are on the screen right now. Think about how your departments are working. Are they working in sync with this paper being passed back and forth? Or do you see any bottlenecks within your business processes as you look from a high end? Do the employees spend more time doing manual tasks rather than the valuable work for the business to grow it and bring in more revenue. As we start going through our presentation today, these are going to be important features we talk about and that we're going to be referring to throughout today as you prepare to become electronic and moving forward with these tech trends for next year. Now, as we start moving in, we're going to start talking about these tech trends that are just around the corner. 2022 is not that far away, and who's going to be ready for it, right? And these 4 areas are going to be able to help us understand what we're going to be leaning into and where we need to start building a foundation. And that foundation starts with our technology itself. Having a strong technology foundation is going to allow your business to give your employees the tools needed for them to do either more work in a shorter amount of time or do it remotely, as we're going to talk about a little today. We're going to learn some more about hyperautomation and what hyperautomation does for your business when you put it into place and start looking at all of your departments. Hybrid workforce, anywhere operations. Employees today are not just satisfied with just sitting behind a desk. They want to be able to work from any location, work from home, work hybrid in the office and from outside. And putting it all together in a big circle is you gotta have security in place. You gotta make sure your documents are secure, your customers' information is secure, your employees' information is secure. So why digitize it all? Technology is being valued as more than just a cost today. It's being recognized more as an integral part of a company's foundation, and that foundation is carries out its products and services, your research and development, customer service, daily operations, and even coming down to recruiting new talent. The graph on the screen here is from McKinsey, shows us a strategy for the post-pandemic era. According to the McKinsey survey, many respondents recognize that their company's business models are becoming obsolete. Only 11% believe their current business models will be economically viable through 2023, while another 64% say their companies need to build a new digital process to help them get there. And companies are looking for ways to strategically differentiate themselves from all the other competitors in their field and their market. IDC jumped in with a little bit of information. They said that its digital transformation predictions by 2022, 70% of all organizations will have accelerated use of digital technologies, transforming existing business processes and driving the customer engagement, employee productivity, and business resiliency. So as we keep talking today, you're going to see that all of these charts are talking out to the high level, C-level of employees. They're talking to the workers out there of the accounting, of the logistics, of the legal departments. They're researching and coming up with this information to know how we need to start strategizing moving forward, not just in 1 year, but 2 years and 3 years, where the business needs to grow. And DocuWare is going to be there to help with that by giving you automation and access from anywhere. When you go to log into our DocuWare system, we have our mobile app that's available on your cell phone, your iOS, your Android. We also can have you log in from a laptop, a tablet. You can capture and pre-sort documents on the fly while you're in the field still, performing workflow tasks and collaborate productively with all your other colleagues, making decisions at your fingertips from any device, anywhere. And DocuWare is going to come with this, with some pre-configured solutions with best business practices in place, so that way you're not waiting months to get something installed and running. We want you to be able to store and retrieve your documents in just 3 days. We want to be able to get you up and running with centralized archiving, invoice processing, and doing your employee records in just 3 days once we have your business process laid out. And when we start looking at your business processes to meet this time goal, that's where we're going to start talking about hyperautomation. And what is hyperautomation? It's automating as many processes and tasks as possible throughout your entire company. This is what everyone in your competition, everyone in your industry is looking at doing. This is where everyone wants to move to, as much automation as possible without compromising your business. Gartner states that hyperautomation has shifted from an option to a conditional of survival. Organizations will require more IT and business processes automation as they are forced to accelerate digital transformations in this post-19 digital first world. And on the graph over here from Keypoint Intelligence, it's a survey of IT decision makers. And the majority of the respondents cited increase in employee efficiency and time saving when they switched over transformation tools. And that transformation tool could be something just as DocuWare as we're going to see today. And with the anticipated growth coming in 2021 through 2022 and beyond going into 23, 24, these companies are making digital transformation initiatives as a priority, as part of lessons learned from the pre-pandemic world. The migration to the cloud-based products brings smaller business buyers into the purchasing realm for these type of automation and tools. Now, we don't expect you to be the expert and know how your business runs 100% and you can just get on a napkin and draw this out. That's why DocuWare is here to help. One of those tools we're going to give you is called a process planner. This is a free collaboration tool between you and your colleagues where you can say, all right, let's start mapping out what our accounts payable process is or our customer intake process. This tool allows you to draw it out and show you where there may be some current bottlenecks or where efficiencies may be able to be enhanced within your business process. We're also within DocuWare itself, we have a workflow designer. This tool allows us to build a workflow based on your process planner so that way we can effectively put your plan into place and make sure we manage every aspect that needs to happen within a workflow or a decision or whatever that tool is designing for your part of the business. And then also once you have that workflow designed and executed, we want you to be able to monitor it and track everything happening within DocuWare. So we're going to give you task lists and notifications so that way you can see what's happening within your workflow processes as you begin to design and expand your business into these areas. This could also be as simple as storing documents that need to take action to be reviewed or analyzed, or if there's a QA process, quality assurance process, you need to go through to make sure documents are properly in place. These three tools will help you analyze your business. That way a proper plan will be put down and DocuWare can be designed to help you become more efficient in those areas. And that's where we're going to start seeing the shift from remote workforce to what we're calling a hybrid workforce. This is where employees are now going to be able to work both from office and home, depending on what you, the business owner, or you, the managers, decide. The graph here from 2021 work trends shows that employees want the best of both worlds, the flexibility to work in the office and remotely. And alongside a mobile workforce, companies are moving towards an anywhere operations approach. That model there allows them to carry out and deliver products and services from anywhere in the world. Gartner believes by the end of 2023, 40% of companies will use operations anywhere to combine virtual and physical interactions with customers. With your tablet and laptop, you can hotspot in and have internet access on your 5G network, and you can still get to your DocuWare system, so that way you can still do your processes, decisions, store your documents. And because we're in the cloud, we want to make sure you have all the security needed for your zero compromise security plan. While we all want to be digital, we still need to invest in a high quality cloud platform that will provide us with top-notch security so you and your employees can continue to work with ease and confidence. Now, according to McKinsey's top trends in tech, there will be a focus on zero trust security approaches to preventing data breaches. Trust architectures reduce the cost of complying with security regulations, lowering the operation and capital expenditures associated with cybersecurity as well. Now, in this graph in 2021 CSO report, you can see that the top damaging effects of not having core security solution in place, and that top one being work interruptions, production time, and affected departments. You have one department affected, it is a trickle-down effect at some point to where with one department down, the next department will have to slow, the next department will slow. And then you also, the number 2 item here is loss of personal identifiable customer information. We don't want to be the ones on the news that are saying we have lost our customers' information, or we don't want to be the one that have to call our customers and alert them of that. So these are some very, very serious type of security pieces we take in consideration at DocuWare, and we put all of our high-end security in place within our architecture to make sure your business and your documents will be secure. We've got you covered with all your recovery and all that data that we're talking about from a security standpoint. With the huge growth of remote working and being distributed workforces around, we're going to need to ensure not only are you secure, but you're protected by the right people at the right time. So when you look at an internal process, we're looking at, are the documents secure from other people within the business? Does HR only have access to HR documents and not accounts payable department have access to accounts payable? We'll make sure all the internal staff have the right user permissions and the data sets for them to carry out their job. And then externally, we're going to make sure that any disaster recovery situation, we're here in place for you. We're also going to make sure that all of our encryption, redundancy, everything's in play, so that way your industry compliances will not become up as an issue for you when it comes to security of your documentation. And you're gaining all this with just one tool. You're gaining all this with just adding DocuWare into your fold. The Swiss Army knife of document management. We're able to have you do just simple storage and retrieval of files for your business. You can move into AP automation. You can move into HR. We're controlling forms and employee records and contracts, proposals. We can get you ready for your audits faster and more securely. So many items you're going to gain with the tool. It's not just a tool you're gaining, but it's almost like you're gaining another person within your business. The person who doesn't take time off, the person who doesn't take a break and have to go on vacation, they're always there running for you in the background to make sure everything is flowing properly. Now with that, Nicole, let's do a quick check-in to see how everything's going with everybody.
All right, yes, thanks, Mike. Let's see, we just wanted to take a break, pause before we go into the live demo and see if there's any questions here. Looks like no questions so far. So I guess with that, feel free to type in questions as we go through the demo. We'll answer them during the, formal Q&A session. But all right, Mike, yeah, just wanted to take a quick pause there.
All right.
Good to go.
Now, as many of you seen, my computer decided to interrupt us, and I do apologize for that. But as I get logged back in here, I am now going to have DocuWare up on our screen. And as you see, there's a bar that comes down the middle of our DocuWare system, splitting it between a right and left view. On the right view, we have a document viewer. This document viewer is going to allow us to look at our documents, view if they're attached and have several stapled or attached documents behind it. The viewer is also going to give us what I call a handy dandy toolbar. So that way, if you're the person who like to make notes on your documents, so you feel like to highlight and you need to point out something more important, this toolbar is going to give us the feature set to do that with. On the left-hand side is where we're going to be spending most of our time, and that's going to be because we need to learn how to get documents into DocuWare and understand where they're going within the system as well. So at the top, you're going to see these icons that are going to walk us through where we need to be within our DocuWare system, and it all begins with document trays. Document trays are a location to where we can start grabbing documents so that you can classify them and store them within DocuWare in an appropriate fashion. This could be whether it's a document that needs to go through a QA and needs to kick off a workflow for review, it's an invoice that's getting stored, or it's a contract that's getting stored. You can have as many doc trays as you need. They can either be department specific, individual specific, or document specific, as you see contracts and proposals right here. Right here, Mr. Sanders, he has 3 documents inside of his personal tray that he's trying to get stored within the system to share with not only with himself, but everybody else as well. Over here, Ms. Peggy Jenkins is going to join our party today, and Ms. Jenkins has her own login and her own setup. And then our third party here is going to be Mr. Fred Winter. He's the third one here in our wingman location who's going to help us pick up the rear with our security questions. So with our first document, it is already into my tray, but there's other ways we can get documents into DocuWare, not just have them pop up into the tray. We can also click on import. Import is going to allow us to browse out to any connected drives, whether it's a Dropbox, a OneDrive, a network share, anything that's available for us to connect to. And we can go highlight documents and bring them right into this specific location of DocuWare itself. You can also use Microsoft Office. We have an integration with Outlook that allows us to quickly store emails and attachments within our DocuWare system. Within your DocuWare system, there's a couple areas to access it. We integrate directly into our ribbon where we have a quick search and a store feature. You can also right-click on an email and you get the same locations into your email section down here. Now, in this case, I do want to store this, but I want to store it for just for me to review. Now, what's going to happen here is when you click on the button, Docuware is going to say, hey, I'm excited you want to store this, but I got a couple questions for you. And this is going to introduce us to what we call our metadata. Our metadata is going to allow us to classify the document so that way DocuWare knows what type it is and if it's going into a filing cabinet or if it needs to go into a workflow or if there's an action that needs to be taken that someone needs to be alerted on. That's exactly what this part allows us to do. It allows us to state that we have a letter coming in. We could, if there's a subtitle or a document number to it, we can assign. But you can also see we grabbed the name of the company, which was Leisure Park Mosier. We also grabbed the contact name and the email address and the subject. The only decision we need to make right here is, do we want the attachment first or do we want to show the email first? And we're going to leave it with the email, the attachment, so we're going to move it down to. Once we do that, we hit store, and then DocuWare is going to go ahead and ingest this email and the attachment and get it into a filing cabinet for us to search for on later on. If you're like me and you have several different folders within your DocuWare, your email system itself, DocuWare can watch specific email folders and specific email addresses to ingest emails and attachments as well. So with that, we have a couple ways that we do have bring DocuWare documents into our DocuWare system for processing. But once they get into our tray, that's where it's time for us to make a decision on what we're going to do. As we come in, we're going to have now what's called our store dialogues, and our store dialogues are just like what we saw in the email. It allows us to choose how we're going to store this document. It helps us choose the filing cabinet. It helps us choose the processes behind it. And in this case, we're going to do just for me as a store. And now we have our metadata question again, but this time it's not filled out. So one of the things we talk about is manual processes, and that's determining what the document type is, and then spending time typing all of the information that's necessary. Well, a key feature we want to bring in is called one-click indexing, as well as predictive typing, as I call it. So here I have a letter that's coming in. I can start typing in letter, and you can see anything with L is populating inside of my list here for me to choose. Now, just to show I'm not pulling any tricks, you can see on my drop-down, I have several things available for me to choose as a document type. I am just going to choose a letter. Now, at this point, that same filter process is coming back into play, and as a subtype, it's asking me, do I have a received letter or a sent letter? It doesn't give me all the options in the system because we're going to narrow it down to what only applies to a letter, so that way it speeds up the process of getting this done. Now, here is where we have to really start typing everything in. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to be able to give you what's called the one-click indexing, so that way you can left-click and highlight the area you want to bring, and when you release it, it will drop the information over to the left-hand side in the field you designed it to go into. The same will go for our email address when I choose Peters at Peters Engineering, and I can do the subject as this entire piece here as well. Project is going to be our project number, and then if we had a document date, we could choose a document date as well. For these purposes, I'm just going to use today as the date. Really quick to fill this part out, did not have to do any manual typing, and I was able to efficiently capture the information needed to store it inside of my filing cabinet. Now, when I go to store this in my filing cabinet, I have the ability to see only the cabinets my permission rights give me to. So each employee is going to have a different permission set for each different filing cabinet that they're allowed to access, and then what they can access inside of that filing cabinet can be restricted as well. So now if I choose my all documents here, and I'll just do a quick search for a letter, I can drop down and see I have a letter right here, and I can do a search. And now you can see there are several letters within my system, but I'm pulling up and accessing the very first one on the top, which is the letter we stored for Leisure Park Mosher. Now, if I needed to come back into my search and I wanted to drill down by store date, let's say, hey, let's look at everything stored on today. We can just do a search, and now that's going to bring us back our one letter. So within our search feature of our filing cabinets, you're going to be able to search by any criteria how you stored it. Also, we give you the full text search ability to search the entire document. So that way, if it's multiple pages and you're looking for a very specific page within there and you have the data information, you're able to do that as well. Now, coming back to our document tray, we have a couple more documents that need to get stored within our system so Mr. Sanders can go home. The next one is going to be a printed delivery note. And with this store dialog, he only needs to share it with some people. So with some people being shared, we're going to get a new dialog here. This one says, hey, now that our document here is going to be selected, we're going to be able to insert the information and now choose who has rights to view this document and access the document. So let's go through and get this thing set up really fast. So here we have a packing slip. We don't have a we do have a packing slip number, document number, so we're going to highlight that. We're going to bring over Busch Gardens, Mr. Boyas. He had an email over here hiding. We'll bring that over. Subject is going to be project number, and our project is project. As we get down here to the bottom, we have the option to ask a question. Do we want to invite anyone by email? You can say yes or no. By saying yes, it allows you to send an invite to everybody. That way they can get it all at once to know that there has been something shared with them within DocuWare. And when you come down here to the bottom, you have your read, your edit, and your owner access. This is where you set your permission sets for your users. So here we're going to go ahead and say only Ms. Jenkins need access. We hit the plus sign, and when we hit store, Ms. Jenkins is going to get access to the system, the document now. So if I come over to Ms. Jenkins, we're going to pull up and see that there's now a list option available that has a yellow item in it. This list option is giving Ms. Jenkins an alert that there's a document there for her to review or a document there for her to take action against. In this case, it's an open PO because she is my accounting manager. But if we come over to search and I said, hey, I want to search for that document that was stored today, she can just access her doc search and then she can see that the package slip that was shared with her is right there as well. Now, if we come over here to Mr. Fred Winter and we come into our filing cabinet, into our document search, and we look for anything stored today, he does not have anything. Our permission sets have now separated what Mr. Sanders and Ms. Jenkins can see versus Fred. Now the permission set is a little different. Our last document, our standard operating procedure. We're going to share this for all. Again, it's going to be kind of the same thing here. This is more of a agreement. Company is Mickey Mouse Inc. There we go. And the action date will be today. When we store it for all, now everyone has access to this document. And so this time when we come back over and refresh our screen in our search, now the agreement is in place for Mr. Winter to see it as well. So let's talk about this toolbar real fast while in Mr. Winter's screen. So within our toolbar, we can do multiple things here on this to make notes. So if Mr. Winter is the one who likes to put sticky notes on something, he can. If he likes to draw and mark up areas, he can. Like highlighting or putting notes on the places, he can. We can save this as an overlay, and we can't save this as an overlay. Ms. Jenkins has the same ability to do this to documents as well, just as Mr. Sanders does also. Each one has the ability to make a markup on the document with whatever processes they go through. So here, if we go ahead and say, we're going to make some notes for review, and then we're also going to say, you need to look at this area. This is very important to look at. Once we save it and make it a merged document as part of our piece, it is on there as one document itself. But we can also have it to where you can send it with or without annotation notes, so that way your notes itself are secure internally with your people. So when we come into an email, you'll have the ability to say in original format or without the annotations, because the annotations, they can come on and off unless you merge them together, and then they stick as one piece of the document so that later on for review. Now, when we come back over to Fred, you can see the changes I made. I've now made changes in his view as well, so that way we know what's being happening and what's taking charge there. Now, I want to jump back over here to Ms. Jenkins real fast, because now you can see Ms. Jenkins now has an action required within 30 days, because now we have to put an action onto this item. So real simply, all she would have to do is say we have an assignment and we have completed this, and we can use a stamp to set that completion right on the document itself to alert that she has now completed that, she's read it, and it is processed, and we know that's going to be good to go for the operating procedure. But the other thing Ms. Jenkins does is that she's also in charge of our accounting department. So one thing she has to do is get these invoices and get them into our system quick and easily for everyone to review, and then get it transferred into our accounting system. So what I'm going to show right now real quick is that the fact that we have these two pieces of documents that have just came into our inbox, and we have a little gray bar running that's reading the document itself right now. This is our OCR technology where we're determining what is classified through our intelligent indexing that we can grab really fast in order to speed up a workflow process. So right here, when we come into our phone wizard, you're going to see within our phone wizard, we have a bill that has to be paid. And then Ms. Jenkins, all she's got to do is come in and choose her store dialog. And now we're going to start grabbing that same metadata information automatically. I don't have to come over and highlight and drop anything over. It's automatically pulled in for me, and I can make corrections on the fly if I need to. When you highlight an area on the left-hand side on the right, it does show you exactly where it's pulling that information from with our intelligent indexing. Same thing goes for your dollar values. That way we know where the dollar values are coming from. And then we hit store, and that kicks off a workflow for an approval process. Same thing goes for rapid transport. This one is all green. Depending on the color on the left determines the confidence of how well we grabbed it. Red, yellow, and green. Red says we've never seen it. Yellow says caution. We're going to need to get some more information. And then green, as you see here, is 100% pass through. The intelligent indexing grabbed everything we need to in order to begin our process of the document itself. Now with your list and task, I said earlier, you're going to have a way to monitor items happening within your DocuWare system. Well, that's what your lists are going to give you, from knowing what's an open PO to ready to export, invoices active, whatever your criteria is you're looking for per individual, per employee. We can set these lists to alert them by what's going on. But also when there's a major task happen to go through a workflow, your workflow taskbar is going to give you the ability to stay maintained and stay on track with where your tasks are and when they're due. We're also going to send email alerts to say that, hey, you haven't touched this in X amount of time. You need to go ahead and review these and get this done. Time alerts to make sure your processes meet the time needs, so that way you're not falling behind, you're not meeting deadlines, and you're not compromising any relationship with vendors or contracts are getting automatically evergreened into the future as well. Real simple storage, the real simple system to store your documents and share them between your different colleagues. You have different ways of capturing by bringing in through folder automatically, using your Outlook emails, using your import feature within your trays. We also have a feature within our Windows. You can come into your Windows set and bring up DocuWare as a folder structure, so you can access all of your filing trays, your cabinets, and your document trays to store documents directly into those systems as well. With all these tools in place, we're thinking ahead for you with how to digitize your business and become more automation, and start looking at your whole business as a whole to see what areas may have a bottleneck in place, what may come into a conflict, who would benefit from a hybrid environment of working, who would benefit from having intelligent indexing, grab information off documents and put it through automatic workflows. Those are the automations in the tech trends coming up for 21 and 23 and beyond, that DocuWare wants you to be able to match and maintain within our system itself. Now, with that said, there's a few things I just want to wrap up with out of the demo, and hopefully these things are now clearer to you. When you have scattered records and you have paper file cabinets, you have your drop boxes, you have shared drives, we have data that's just all over the place. We don't know where it should go. DocuWare is going to help you with the centralized organization and safely store your business records and have them easily accessible as well. You have the overwhelming administrative tasks. You have manual tasks that are very time consuming. Searching for documentation takes time out of your day and not to the core value of what your business is. With our ready to go workflows, we're going to be able to maximize your team productivity and give you the information at your fingertips to make decisions on the fly. With any security gaps that may be happening, any painful auditing you've gone through in the past, knowing what ungated information is out there within your business, and not knowing how you meet within your industry compliances, well, DocuWare is going to make sure you're audit ready for those. We're going to help you adhere to any compliance you have. We have plenty of documentation on our SOC 2 Type 2 and other industry compliances that we have. And then also making sure you have the right security in place for not only internal, but external to make sure you're protected. And Cole, I will bring it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Yes, thanks for that great, introductory look at DocuWare. So we want to hear from you now. We have another question that I'm gonna put on the screen. So, what features are you excited about that you saw regarding DocuWare, or what are you looking forward to exploring more? So it should see the poll question on your screen now. If you want to take just a quick second to check off what you like. And then we just have a few more slides before we get into the Q&A. All right, looks like the votes are coming in. Just looks like we got a good amount. All right, so I'm going to close the poll now and share the results. So it looks like the top choice is the
Intelligent archiving.
Yeah, so you showed the one-click indexing, but to take it even a step further, the system, once it gets like the same documents over and over again, it can automate that. So there's, minimal data clicking.
Yeah, manual data entry, minimal data entry.
Yep,
DocuWare will open the documents.
Yeah, and then the anytime, anywhere document access, of course, if you're on a work site, you want to pull up, invoices, contracts, you don't have to wait for someone to email to you. You can do it yourself. And of course, workflows. Like you said before, DocuWare is kind of like that 24/7 employee, always working behind the scenes, keeping everyone on track with documents and deadlines and so forth. And of course, security as well. All right, so with that, I just have a few more slides here to wrap up. We have a lot of customer reviews on sites such as G2 Crowd, Capterra, Gartner Peer Insights. So that's where you can read about real DocuWare success stories, and I'll share a link in my follow-up email as well. And we're also, proud of our security certifications. We recently received our SOC 2 security certification. So, we're very on top of ensuring DocuWare is validated by outside, third-party validators. And just to give you a quick overview of, who's using DocuWare. So we have 15,000 companies across 100 countries using DocuWare. You can see some standout brand names, but, we also have small to medium-sized businesses. So DocuWare, whatever your need is, DocuWare and your DocuWare partner, we can work with you and get you up and running with DocuWare for those specific processes and needs that you have. So this is just a quick overview of who's using it. Just some quick quotes here. So you can see that companies have regained control. They're not relying on paper-based process anymore. They've were able to kind of break free from that. They can focus on their growth goals with the staff that they have, not spending any more money just on manual processes. And there's a seamless information flow between departments. So everything is connected, A to Z. We have a recent case study that's available in the handout section. I'll also email it as well, but just one, new customer quote here that we have. It's a town clerk office in upstate New York. So you can see that they use it pretty much in all of their departments. And the benefit is that they can retrieve their documents, especially when you're working, in state and local government documents, you're working with different stakeholders. They can retrieve them fast, quickly, and securely because everything is accessible to their team in the cloud. So just to remind you, our next webinar, we have webinars every month. Our next webinar will take place Tuesday, November 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This webinar will focus more in depth on DocuWare's workflow features. So you kind of saw, an introductory piece on that, but this one will focus specifically on, you have those repetitive manual processes or they're just complex. So how can you streamline them, simplify them, and get the work moving forward without delay. So just want to leave you this one last slide before Q&A. We hope you take the next move and go forward, whether that's, talking with your DocuWare partner and getting a, discussing DocuWare more in depth. We hope that you don't do nothing, and we don't want you to be kind of stuck in the past while everyone else is investing in digital first solutions. So just a thought for you guys there. So with that, now we'll open it up for Q&A. But I just want to remind you again, today was just, exploring the different tech trends that we've seen across, different leading technology analysts such as Gardner, McKinsey. But then we wanted to give you a first look at DocuWare. How can DocuWare help you speed up and get on those tech trends so you're not left behind, against your competition? So if you want to take the next step, definitely reach out to your authorized DocuWare partner, request a demo at docuware.com/demo, or if you have any questions or comments at any time, email at us at contact.us@docuware.com. So with that now, I will open it up for some questions here. I know we're right on time, so if you want to just pop in your question here or send us an email, we'll definitely get back to you. So let's do Q&A, at least for 5 more minutes. So one question is, everyone accessing the same documents with different controls, for example, edit, download, view, etc.?
It's a twofold question, because yes and no. If you have the right permission set, then yes, those people with the permission sets to that document can have all of the same access controls. But at the same time, someone may only have read-only, someone may not have access at all. So it's really depending on your compliancy and what is best for your business, but we have multiple ways to approach that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Next question, does DocuWare create a document number, or is the respective company numbering system used?
Well, that goes right into our next question after that, is the version control. So we're going to create a version control number as we start putting version control into your document itself. One of the features I wasn't able to show because of time was that we can do live editing inside of Office 365, and that can be collaboration editing. So you can be 5-10 people inside the same spreadsheet making edits and changes, and then as you say, it's automatically saved. It's saved in version control in DocuWare, so you can revert back as well if needed. So yes, we do have a true version control into our system also.
Great. And then next question is, looks like we have a attendee from Canada. They have different tax types. Can they also be extracted as well?
Now, Canada, you're giving me a hard one because I'm way down in Florida. I would say get with your DocuWare respective partner up in Canada to make sure we do meet those compliances for you. But know that we can do a lot of extraction of data with our export tool. So there is many different file types and many different ways we can extract it. I would just say validate it with your Canada laws itself. Make sure.
Gotcha. Someone's asking, how can we sign up for the November webinar? Sorry, I didn't mention that. So you can go to DocuWare.com either probably by tomorrow morning. I'll have the link to the November 15th webinar. Or if you got an email for this webinar, you'll definitely get an email for the November webinar. So look out for the email or DocuWare.com. Let's see. People are asking, is this being recorded and are slides being sent out? Yes, an email will go out later this afternoon with recording slides and handouts available to you. Looks like we have another question that came in. Is DocuWare available in the French language? I would say yes.
I believe it is available in French as well as multiple other languages now as well.
Yes, it is, and there are different different language options as well. But definitely, if you have a DocuWare partner, or email us at contact.us@docuware.com. We can get you with the right person on that. Another question came in. Does DocuWare have the ability to integrate with the Adobe Signature service?
With Adobe Signature service itself, not at this time, but we do have the ability to integrate with DocuSign and also Validated ID. Both bring different aspects to the electronic signature platform, but yes, DocuWare can integrate with both of those through a workflow process to help automate some of those signature practices for you.
Yep. Let's see. Yep, we have the DocuWare for electronic signature solution. That's like you can get up and running fairly quickly with that as well, if that's like a priority of your company. Let's see if any other questions. I know we're 3 minutes over. It looks like that's all the questions we have, just so we can end at a good time. Definitely take the next step. You see the options on the screen here. We want to continue the conversation. We want to help you out and, have a conversation on what are your needs and how can DocuWare help with those. So I think with that, Mike, I think we'll end it here. Like I said, feel free to reach out and look out for an email later from me today. And we hope to see you on our November 15th webinar.
Thanks everyone for taking your time and joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Happy Halloween. Bye.